All right, hey everybody, welcome back. It's Jason and Sean. We're here to talk about Patriots and football and more. And man, there has been a lot of controversy stuff going on along with the Patriots this week. Not necessarily bad stuff, but just a lot of speculation on what's going to be happening. A lot of concerns that are going on. And of course, we have some other stuff that happened just a couple days ago that could really have an impact on the AFC. With Mahomes going down and getting injured, we'll talk about that in a second. But first of all, I guess let's kind of talk about this week's matchup against the Jets on Monday night. This is going to be a pretty fun event, I think. You know, it doesn't matter what the Jets always do; they always play us tough. It's going to be a bloodbath, I'm sure. So, what's your take on this game?
Well, I was looking at a stat line that was presented on Facebook earlier today, talking about how the last 10 meetings there's only been one blowout. So it's all been within 10 points, and I don't think that's going to happen. I know people are saying fear the Jets, their defense is good. It's in New York. It's Monday night. Okay, it's still the probably the best defense in the league, because I don't think they're any better. I don't think the Jets are better than the Bills when it comes to defense. And New England struggled against that team, but we didn't see Sam Darnold the first time, and I think Belichick does a good job against rookie or not rookie quarterback, but young quarterbacks. And that defense is they're already sick and tired of the talk, I believe. So we'll see. I mean, I'm excited about Watson playing. It's excited a lot of things about some things he's doing off the field too. But it's going to be it's always the Jets is always fun, and it's always fun beating them. By far, it's the team I despise in the NFL. For some reason, they've never been a nemesis of at least this version of the Patriots. We usually win, even though it's close. I mean, they knocked us out of the playoffs one year, but once. I mean, come on, we're pretty. It's fun. It's always fun playing the Jets. Let's put it that way.
It is fun playing the Jets. I actually got to go up to Foxborough Stadium there and Gillette Stadium, and we were playing the Jets on a Thursday night, and that was when Brady was injured and Castle was in, and we were playing against Brett Favre, who was the quarterback for the Jets at that time. And I'll tell you what, it is crazy in the stands. I mean, those guys, it gets nasty. I don't know what's rougher, the play on the field or the people in the stands, because it can get pretty hairy. I'll tell you that. It's fun though.
Yeah, I mean, it's natural. Boston does not like New York, and vice versa. And I tell you what, if they ever realigned and they put the Giants, the Bills, and the Jets and the Patriots all in the same division, that'd be fun to watch all year long too. Yeah,
it would be. Now, as far as the Jets, for me, I don't know if this is going to be a real big deal. I still give them credit because they're always going to play as tough, and it's always a nasty battle regardless. But I don't think it's going to be. Their defense is good, but if it was great, they'd have more than one win. And it came against the Cowboys, who I truly believe went up there underestimating the Jets. They probably looked at them as 0-5. We got this. And that's one of the things that New England's never done, that I've ever known publicly, to any other team, because they take every team as a potential threat. And if you go in there with that mentality, generally you're more on the ball than if you just let it go. And I think they shocked the Cowboys last week because of that. I think a good portion of that was underestimating them. But it should be a good game, I'm thinking. But one thing I've always noticed is that sometimes on the big stage, when they're on these, the big television stuff, the Jets crumble. I mean, look what happened with the butt fumble that time for Thanksgiving. Yeah. We played them on a couple Thursday night games, and they were awful. I mean, yeah, maybe it wasn't a complete blowout, but they made a lot of mistakes. And I don't know if it's just the fact that they got cameras pointed on them and they have they're camera shy or something. I don't know. But they don't seem to play very good on big stage nights. And this is a big stage tonight, and they're playing the Patriots in their defense. Darnold, I don't know. We don't know him. We've never played him before. So he might get a little starstruck, a little intimidated himself. I know he said he hasn't, but it's different when you go out there and see these guys face to face.
Yeah, Darnold said he's saying all the right things. Looking at some of the pre-game quotes where he's talking about, he's like, you can't take the dynasty down in one game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. You definitely, the Patriots lose a couple games every year, but yeah, you gotta prove yourself here too. But at least he's focused on one game. That's I think that's why New England's so successful, because Belichick won't let him focus on anything else. I mean, we were all, I know we're going to talk about it, we're all looking forward to the Chiefs in Week 14, but things are a little different now. So it's a good thing we're only one game at a time.
That's true. I mean, and it's like, look at the Steelers when they went up against the Jaguars that one postseason in the divisional game. They were already expecting to play New England. They didn't even consider the Jaguars. They just pretty much preordained themselves to play us, and they got their butts handed to them, and it kind of shocked them a little bit. You can't look ahead too far, because that game could change. Look at some of these quarterbacks that have gone down this year. You're expecting a bigger rally, a bigger fight, and then it doesn't happen. And it's just one of those things. And that I think that's one of the reasons why the Jets had such a downfall over the years, is that pretty much when Rex Ryan took over, that was all he was obsessed about. Was the Patriots. He played 2 games a season. That was the Patriots in Foxborough and Patriots in New Jersey. That was all he cared about. He could win. He could lose the rest of the games. He didn't care. He had to win those 2, and it showed. It really did show, and it actually, I believe, completely cost Rex Ryan his job eventually. He got lucky for all those years to keep the job when he really shouldn't have had it. He went to Buffalo, same thing. He was obsessed, and I did a piece about that one time, and I know why he got obsessed with it. I truly do. I truly believe it was from that one game when we were going for that undefeated season. They stopped Brady on 4th down. They technically beat us on the Ravens, and sure enough, somebody called a timeout, and it was Rex Ryan. That he was their offensive coordinator. He called the timeout. Brady comes out and throws a touchdown, and wins the game right after that. I mean, that's got to screw with your head. But I think you're right. The Jets, if they continue just to look at this one game, don't look ahead, just go for this one game. Don't overestimate it either, because they don't. I don't think they really want to sit there and consider it their Super Bowl. That's not necessarily a good thing to do either, because it puts undue pressure on the younger guys there and stuff. So just put one game at a time, regular game, a little bit heightened because it's a divisional game, and I think they might have the right mentality going for it, like we've been doing for 20 years.
Well, a lot of their kids are saying, this is our playoffs. Playoffs start now, because I mean, truly, if you're 1-5, you have to win almost every game the rest of the way to make the playoffs. But that's still not a good football team. I mean, they're not the Dolphins, but they're definitely better than the Dolphins right now. But we'll see. I think the Patriots offense is going to be a lot more in sync after 10 days off. That's a nice way to get tightened up and tuned up. So I think we should be good to go.
And we got some other guys back too, which we didn't have the last couple games. Edelman's going to be obviously better, so he'll probably see more reps. But I really got shocked this year, because I expected better things out of our division than we have. And I can go into this on another. Hold on a second. I can go on to this for another game type thing, but I truly believe that the way that they're comparing our division is not fair compared to how they play Montana during his division. I look back through all those years. They had in the 49ers division, they had the Saints, they had the Falcons, and they had the Saints, Falcons, and Rams. Most of those teams during those years, never even hit 500. At least our teams in our division have hit 500 more than they haven't compared to what Montana had in his era. So, we always get looked at as a really bad division. I don't truly believe it's a bad division. I just believe that we have so many more wins over them, it makes it look like a bad division. This year, though, it's been pretty bad. But I really expected the Jets more out of the Jets. I really thought they were going to be the contender against us and the one that could possibly knock us out of first place in our division. Miami, I thought maybe second or third place, and I thought they'd probably be challenging the Jets a little bit. I'm shocked with the Bills. Last year the Bills were crap, and this year it's like a completely different team. And the two teams I really thought, because of the talent that they brought in and the people that they brought in, were going to do better. They didn't, and I'm kind of shocked. I was really expecting it to have at least two teams hit at least 500 in our division. But
Well, that's the problem. I think a lot of the New England's. I think in that division, New England's the only team. The other one's a group of individuals trying to play football. So, Pats have always been a team since Brady took over. They've been just team first and wins first, not individual stats or accolades. And notice what happens. Those stats and those accolades do end up coming. And MVPs. I'm not worried about the regular season MVP, but I love it when our guys get to hold a trophy that says they're a Super Bowl MVP. So.
Yeah. That's the only MVP I want. And honestly, the last time that MVP has won the Super Bowl was Kurt Warner in '99. I don't want to touch that trophy. That trophy's cursed, man. Leave it away.
It's almost as bad as the Madden curse on the that's that. And Brady's the only one to break that one, by the way.
Yes.
So.
But it killed him in another way because we didn't win the Super Bowl that year. That's probably the worst hurt that you can hit Brady with than an injury. So I don't know. It still took him out in a way, but it didn't take him out in the way that I thought he was going to, which I'm glad, But I'd much rather take a Super Bowl loss than have him injured. But
no doubt.
But yeah, it still hurt him. It still hurt him in a different way. And like I said, I had some really weird juju. I still think, I'm very superstitious. I've told you about that. But I was sitting there watching that monster truck rally in Raymond James Stadium the day before the Super Bowl, and I'm like, man, I am in somebody else's stadium right now. And I'm like, my team's playing. That's bad juju. So I was like, man, I can't. If they lose, it's all on me, guys. I'm sorry.
It wasn't football you were watching. You're watching big trucks running around in circles, so you're good.
Right, but everywhere you look is the Buccaneers stuff and their banners and their one banner and stuff like that. It's like, ugh.
Yeah,
it's just one of those things.
It's all good.
But speaking about some other things that are going on, it's the trade deal coming up, and there could be some really good trades going on. One of the things that really kind of shocked me this week with our team was Michael Bennett. I know that he hasn't been getting a lot of reps, but to actually call out one of our coaches and say, you're wrong, I've never seen anybody do that in our team before, and he got obviously punished for it. Now it's a possibility he might be traded to, I think I saw Detroit and Oakland maybe. I think it's those two. What's your take on all this?
Well, I'm not worried about Bennett. Bennett hasn't played. I mean, he's only had a handful of snaps, and that's probably the genesis of the reason why. I mean, first of all, he wears kids pads. It's kind of weird. Kicker, really a kicker's pads? What are you doing there, buddy? I know he thinks it's about mobility, but I think it may have been a good reason for the coach to say, wait, this guy's not fitting. We knew there was going to be some issues coming in. He's always been pretty opinionated. He's always been, about himself. I thought he could maybe, sometimes they come in and they assimilate, and sometimes they don't. I think in this situation, I think coach is probably looking for an opportunity and saw that there was an opportunity here, and maybe Bennett was looking for that same opportunity and took advantage of it. And if he ends up out of town, he ends up out of town. But I'm not sweating that. It's not like he's a long-term Patriot. He just signed in the offseason, so I don't miss him.
No, I'm not going to miss him either. And this kind of solidifies my point. I see in all these groups, they want big names. They were so happy to see Bennett coming in because he's a big name. And it's like he's going to do something for us. But every year, since I can remember, the people that really stood out and brought us to the championships were not big name people. I think we had Reggie Wayne in and all these other guys, and that was one of the, Manning's top guys. He couldn't last a week.
Right.
And, so I'm like, why do we need these people? All they do is they bring in me, myself, and I am the man, and I want to see the ball on every single solitary play. And when they don't get it, they throw fits, like what Michael Bennett's doing right now. And I don't get excited over these big names. I don't think we need these big names. But then I also look at the Rams last year, who had just about every top prospect you could have gotten. They barely squeaked by into the Super Bowl because of that call. If that call didn't happen, they would have kicked the field goal. Saints would have been in the Super Bowl. pretending they actually made the kick. I mean, that's still a lot of big ifs.
Mm-hmm.
But, then they come in and play us, and we keep them to 3 points. These are the top of the top of the top all the way across the board. They were so stacked with talent and big names that it was like, everybody on there was a superstar, and they lost. So I don't always see the value in a lot of these big names either. I'd rather see the guy that was on the second string out on the team, was rejected for some unknown reason, gets kicked out because he they say that he's not worth it, and he comes in here and says, like, I got something to prove, and he has that point here and is able to do that. That's what takes us to the Super Bowl.
Well, number 12, he shows that. He's 199th pick. He wears out on his shoulder every day. So you're absolutely right. So I mean, speaking of the Rams and that trade for Jalen Ramsey, what a weird trade. They can't move the ball on offense without Todd Gurley being in the lineup, and Gurley has proven to be a little bit girly. He's not. Yeah. He gets dinged up a lot. So Jared Goff doesn't look that good. So let's bring in a cornerback. That'll fix things. What was that about? I mean, maybe they're looking and seeing. Maybe it's because the Patriots offense has struggled just a little bit, and Patriots defense is lights out, and they've been able to maintain 6-0. But I don't know. That's a lot of money for. You're not really improving your team. I mean, their defense is pretty good. That's a championship caliber defense. So I don't know why and he's a headache. Ramsey's he's kind of he pulled an Antonio Brown. Get me out of here. I don't want to be here, and my back hurts. I'm not playing. All of a sudden he's not even on injury report over there. So his back is miraculously healed. This league is full of prima donnas, and I'm glad our hierarchy at this point in our team doesn't deal with prima donnas very well.
The one thing I do remember of him, and unfortunately that's all I'm ever going to be able to tag him with, is when he got on that soapbox down in Jacksonville and said, I guarantee you we are going to be going to the Super Bowl. We're going to go up to New England. We're going to take them out. They almost did. We had a bit of a struggle with them. But, that's why I don't like arrogance with anything, because, I mean, he was very arrogant about that. He was trying to play the Jets quarterback, Joe Namath, where he guaranteed the Super Bowl. And, that's a big challenge. You got to go up to New England where they've only lost a few games since 2000. I mean, I don't even know if it's hit over 30 games that they've lost up there, over 20 years. That's hard to do. And when you play them in the playoffs, you hardly ever lose up there. So, I mean, you go up there, that's a wasteland. That's a big wasteland. That is a fort, like Fort DeSoto, the fort that's over in St. Augustine. It was never taken over by actual war. It was only taken over when somebody bought the land or something like that, and the country took over that way. So I mean, you come down there, you're going to play that, you're going to go down if you're one of those pirates or another country. So, that's the same thing with us. We're a fortress up there. You just cannot be beat. You do not want to go to New England in the postseason. You just don't.
I don't think anybody wants to go to New England, period. And I don't blame them. It's been a blessing. It's been a blessing over the last 2 years, no doubt, or 20 years, I should say, no doubt. So.
Now, when we first started this, we were talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, that they were going to be more than likely our AFC competitor in the AFC Championship game. And I pretty much said that by week 14, I figured that they would have the same record, either 2 losses or 1 loss apiece. And that game was going to be determining who's going to have the home field advantage in the AFC. Now, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this is a real possibility. And then they lost to the Colts, which completely shocked me.
Yeah, and then when we started this, both Patriots and Chiefs were undefeated, and since then, the Chiefs have experienced 3 significant losses.
Yes,
2 games.
And that third one,
the
third one was Mahomes going down.
That's not a good
now.
one.
They're saying that they're going to bring him back in about 4 weeks. Now, I actually know somebody that had that exact same injury. Without sports, it took 6 weeks, and it wasn't broken. There was no cracked bones or anything like that. It took her 6 weeks to get back to the point where she could function again. And then, obviously they have to do other things along the way with rehab therapy. So if they bring him in 4 weeks, and then he's going to be basically coming back right before the New England game, if he gets tapped again, he's done. I don't know why they would sit there and try to force this out, other than they're scared of the New England a little bit, to try to rush him back in. But my God, he gets one tap by a defender up there in the wrong way. That knee is done. He's done for the season. And if they do go into the playoffs, they won't be going very far. I think this is a stupid move, in my opinion, to bring him back this soon.
Well, first of all, it's mind-blowing that Denver couldn't step up and win without Mahomes in the lineup. But, yeah, the last thing you want to do, Patrick Mahomes is fun to watch. He is.
Yeah.
He's not fun to listen to. That Kermit the Frog voice drives me nuts. But, I'm not, it's funny, like you talked about, the groups that you're in on Facebook. I follow Twitter, a lot of the Patriots fans or football fans, you call them fans, people just immediately talking trash or excited that Mahomes got hurt. Are you kidding me? It's a human being trying to make a living, and entertaining you. And I wouldn't have it any other way than to have, it'd be Tom Brady head-to-head against Patrick Mahomes, even against the Eagles. I wanted to see Carson Wentz. We probably would have won if Carson Wentz was playing quarterback because Nick Foles played out of his mind. But I want their best against the best. I don't want a backup against a backup. It's okay. It's one thing if it's an O-lineman or a strong safety. You want your marquee quarterback out there. And seeing him go down yesterday, I was actually disappointed. I was shocked. I was like, how did that happen on a QB sneak? And then you watch the replay, that's gruesome, and you could tell that the kid was like, oh, I think I'm toast. He was really, you could tell the panic in his eyes, and that it almost broke my heart. I felt bad for him because the season flashes ahead of him, and who knows what he thought happened to his knee. Did he think his career was over? Last thing Andy Reid needs to do is pull a Mike Shanahan. He better not RG3 this kid because he is the face of the league for the next 5-6 years. Even though Brady will still be playing in 6 years, and probably still winning. But he is a superstar, and it is not. It's hurt. I don't like seeing that kind of stuff. That's not. There's talking about Alex Smith and how he's had 13 surgeries on his leg, and he's starting to work out to come back. 13 surgeries to fix that bone. Oh my goodness. But luckily, like you said earlier, Patrick Mahomes' injury is not as severe as it could have been. But hopefully they don't rush him back. And depends. I guess it would depend on the record, is how fast they want. And it's sad that they're going to talk about, if they still maintain, if their defense really steps up like they did yesterday, and they're still at 2 losses, maybe you do hustle them back a little bit. But if there are 2 losses, are they being truly successful? Are they doing what New Orleans is doing with Teddy Bridgewater? And just winning despite the fact they lost their superstar. I don't know. I guess you got to play that by ear. But I wouldn't want my first game back if I was Patrick Mahomes to be against New England, because
against our defense.
Yeah, no, that would be a nightmare for him. It'd be in his head, and plus you know what? These kind of injuries can ruin a person's psyche too. You remember how skittish Tommy was when he came back after the ACL. That first few games, he was dancing. Skipping away, throwing the ball away really quick, and that had a full off season and a full recovery and a full off season to get that out of his head. But this is, it hurt. I didn't like seeing that. I'm not I don't hate anybody that's talented and they're playing against, unless they're like Ndamukong Suh or people are running their mouth. I'm not rooting for anybody to get hurt, but it doesn't bother me if they do. But these guys are genuinely good. They seem like a good character. It seems like they're trying to do best for the league, for their team, for their fan base. I root for those guys, unless they're playing the Patriots.
You're right. He is the face of the league. I do enjoy watching him, and I think people started to figure out if you let him run to the side, he's better than if you keep him in the pocket. And that's exactly what the last 2 teams that beat him did. They kept him in the pocket, and he wasn't as accurate. Now, I don't really want to see them do what they did to RG3 either. That guy, I'm surprised he's never been the same.
No.
He has never been the same since that one game where he lost it in the playoff game. You're right. I think it's going to depend on the record that they're going at. But the thing about them is their defense is horrible. New England has been able to kind of just blow through Kansas City. Kansas City's defense. But the problem with it is that if we have an awful defense, Mahomes is going to put up a lot of points.
Yep.
So, and he probably still will be putting up a lot of points. But between their offense is a juggernaut, their defense is awful. And with us this year, our offense is struggling. It's the lower part right now, and our defense is unstoppable. So last year what we had was we didn't know what our defense was going to do. Like the first couple of games, like they played the great game the first game. They were terrible the second game, terrible the third game. Fourth game they were okay. Fifth game they're so it's like we never knew what we were going to get out of them until about the end of the season. Like the last 3 weeks, they played pretty consistently, and then went into the playoffs like that. So, but it's like with Kansas City, people are able to exploit their defense pretty easily. And I think they rely on Mahomes. So if the defense gives up points, they're going to be doing like what we did in the last few years. The defense was going to come out there. They were going to give up at least 3 or 7 points. It's just a matter of which one. And Tom had to go out and score every single solitary possession. And that's exactly what they're relying on Mahomes to do. And I don't think that's fair either. I think they really need to boost that up so that way it's more of a complementary type of thing. But, we'll see how that's going to go over the next couple of years. But, they really do need to up their defense a little bit, in my opinion.
Especially now. I mean, they're going to, Matt Moore is not going to carry that team. He's not capable of that. I mean, their offense is still, that's a stacked offense.
Yeah.
So who knows? But, speaking of your point just now, when you were talking about how suddenly at the end of the year, everything clicks. Last year, everything came in right in line the last 4 games, and then into the playoffs, they rolled. Do you ever start to think and get a little paranoid, maybe a little that coaches maybe doing that on purpose, keeping everybody discombobulated, winning just enough games to get the top 2 seeds? That sounds funny, top 2 seeds. But you never think that they're experimenting the entire year and just take the best out of everything they've learned and then just implement it towards the end of the season to fine-tune it, and just hit the afterburners and go for it? I get paranoid like that.
I've never heard of that. I never thought about that before, but you could be right. I mean, Belichick likes to play games. And one of the things that makes him so good as a coach is he plays mind games with you. And he literally can take up so much real estate inside an opposing team's head, especially with the cheating stuff. I mean, I've read all the stuff that these guys do. They have to go in there and put in their own padlock on the visitors' clubhouse door a day or two before. And when they put the stuff up there, they are so afraid that they're going to be booby trapped. They're going to have cameras in their garbage cans, and that the janitors are coming in there and taking all their stuff and giving it to the Patriots. I mean, they have so much real estate in people's heads that I think that people have destroyed themselves and cost themselves the win before they even arrived in Foxborough. So, but Belichick likes to play games like that. That's why he's a chess master. Even if he doesn't play the game, but he makes you think he's playing the game, he's got you win. He's got you beat. And that's a great thing. I never thought about that, but it's pretty much true. I mean, he's experimenting. He's playing cat and mouse throughout the regular season for the most part. And then when he sees what works and what doesn't work, he just turns it all on and says, okay, balls to the wall. Let's annihilate these guys. No more playing anymore.
And we started this season thinking we're picking up where we left off, being 50-50 run-pass team. Well, the run's not working. So the run's not working, and so let's go back to the pass. Well, the pass really isn't working either, even though Tom Brady's number 7 in the league and as a quarterback. But they'll figure it out. Something will happen, and they'll figure it out. And if they somehow pick up Sanu from Atlanta, you could have a starting lineup there with Brady as a quarterback, Edelman as a second quarterback, Sanu as a third quarterback. You can do some crazy stuff with that kind of lineup. So I'd love to see that.
Well, I would too. I mean, I would love to see. I love when they get creative like that. I mean, to watch Edelman throw that touchdown pass was awesome against against the Ravens in the playoffs. Yeah, that was so cool. But I really would like to see our offensive line step up. They haven't really stepped up yet, and I know we've had a lot of injuries to that. And I didn't really think that Andrews was going to be that big of a loss, but since he's gone down with those blood clots, our line hasn't been the same. And I've seen a lot of snaps coming to Tom Brady. It's below his knees. He's barely caught the ball.
Yeah, we're going over his head. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's got to catch that. And since nobody's able to block it, he's already getting a low pass or a high pass. By the time he even comes down with the ball and has an idea of what happened, they're already on top of him because they're not blocking him.
Right.
And everybody's saying, oh, the run game stinks. We're not able to run. We're not able to throw. We need to have like Antonio Brown. We need all these people back on this team. And I keep telling him, if Brady gets the ball and he's already getting touched before he has a chance to adjust it in his hands, it doesn't matter who's downfield. that ball is not going to be accurately thrown, or he's going to get sacked. So that these people are not going to see who they need to see. We need to boost that up, and our run game thrives on the offensive line. Last year, our offensive line was actually pretty decent, and they kept breaking these big gaps for our runners to get 20, 30 yards, and even 10 yards at the least. So I think what we need to do is stop worrying about receivers and start worrying about that offensive line. We need tight ends that can block and catch. We need to have a center that's not blowing the ball past Tom, so he has to readjust himself. I mean, that one where he dropped the ball against the New York Giants, the ball was low snapped. He dropped the ball, picked it up, and still managed to almost throw a reception and avoided the sack. That can't keep happening, and they're blaming Tom for it for his inaccuracies, but he's running constantly. He's rushed almost every time. He got sacked 4 times by the Giants, a 30th ranked defense, and got a strip sack. That's not Tom's fault. That's all offensive line's fault.
You're right. So what do you think about, is Harry active for the game?
I think so. If not, he's going to be active next week. But I think they got him off of IR, but I don't know if they're putting him in this game or not. But this would be a good game to put him into, to tell you the truth.
Because next week is Cleveland, and they'll definitely be a little bit better than who knows? Not definitely. They could be better tthan the Jets. I'm not looking past them, but I think it'd be kind of cool to get him into a division game, get his mind right early on. Because you get the more prima donnas against Cleveland there with Baker and yeah. So, I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him line up and go because I think Tommy was excited to have him back. So
I think so too. I think he's gonna be a big help. He's a big guy. He's not a small little receiver. He's got some bones on him like Gronk had, and he's gonna be a hard one to tackle. And if he can catch kind of like OBJ does, we're gonna be good.
Yeah, no doubt.
We're good. So we're running out of time. Let's do some predictions for the Jets game. What do you think the score is going to be?
27. What was I thinking? Yeah, 27-17.
You got it pretty close. That's pretty good. I think it's going to be 28-13. I think that's what it's going to be. I think they're going to get a touchdown, 2 field goals, and I think we're going to score. I think we're going to pretty much score our touchdown off of them, all touchdowns. So we'll see. We'll see how close we are. But I'll give him 1 touchdown. I'll give him, and I think it's going to be a fluke touchdown again, like kind of what happened with the Giants with one of those touchdowns. I think it's going to be another crazy touchdown, and I think that they're going to force them to kick a little bit more. But now that they know us already, they played us already once, they kind of have an idea what it's going to be like. We got to kind of learn from them again because obviously we have Darnold out there. So it should be a fun game. It's going to be a nasty game. I guarantee it's going to be nasty. They're going to play us nasty. They're going to play us rough. It's going to be a nail biter. But I'd like to see a good one because I like to see a blowout, honestly, because it's a Monday night and I got to get to work early in the morning. It's hard to do that when you're all stressed out from watching a tight game.
Absolutely right.
So my heart needs some love, man. Show me some love, guys. So I guess that's all we got for today, and we will be back again next week to talk about wrap up this game and see what we got coming up with Cleveland.
Cool, sounds good.
All right, guys, we'll be back next week. Tune in again. We'll see you then.